that one glorious word represents more than just the geography between the Sabine and the Rio Grande. It represents a unique idea and way of life. A life of rugged individualism, proud self-reliance, gritty toughness, and fierce independence. That is what made Texas, and that is what will save her again. Howdy, folks. Sam Houston here. I want to thank you for tuning into the Feed Bandit podcast. Feed Bandit is the Texas first outdoors brand built by rabid Texans, for rabid Texans, and all those who aim to be one someday. We unapologetically promote the ideals that shape our Texas pride and Texas first patriotism through our love of hunting, the outdoors, and the gear and apparel we create. Texas, above all else, preserve the tradition, protect the legacy. Check us out at feedbandit.com. And to repeat that great rallying cry from a former colleague of mine, liberty or death. Now, enough of my talking. Here are a couple of bandits that love Texas as much as I do. Enjoy.
Howdy, friend. Welcome back to the Feed Bandit podcast. Jimmy back with you. And we're going to dive right into continuing our Whitetail Strategies series and the sub-series of that, our Deer Foundations, as we're going through the Total Deer Hunter Manual by Field and Stream. We're going through the 301 essential skills that a good whitetail deer hunter needs to know. So let's dive right back in, starting again with number 16. Don't move or wear blue. So deer have excellent peripheral vision and an outstanding ability to detect motion. Their eyes have a high density of rods, a horizontal slit for a pupil, and a reflective tapetum lucidum on the retina, which allows them to see in the dark. They can also spot colors in the ultraviolet spectrum, which means that if your hunting garments contain UV brighteners, as many of ours do, or are blue, to deer you'll actually appear to glow in low light. Whoa. Blue. I didn't really know that about blue. Wow, seems like something I should have known. That's the good news for deer. The bad, they can't see squat for detail. Researcher Gino D'Angelo actually devised an exam chart to measure the visual acuity of a captive doe named Nellie. D'Angelo found that Nellie's eyes were comparable to those of a human with 2100 vision. Nellie, thank goodness, would flunk the vision portion of a driving test. Deer eyes are also fairly pathetic at depth perception. If you don camo and stand motionless against a broad tree, a deer staring in your direction from just 20 yards won't spot you. Okay, just don't wear blue. Don't wear blue or reflectors if you can. Okay, number 17. Keep deer off your tracks. Knowing that a deer's nose is often compared to a dog's, and hoping to shed some light on a few of the nagging questions about a buck's ability to sniff us out, the author enlisted a pair of professionals, Winona County, Minnesota, Sheriff's Deputy, and Blitz, his 5-year-old German Shepherd canine partner. The cold track. For the first test, he laid down 2 trails 2 hours before the dog's scheduled arrival. For the first trail, donning old, smelly leather boots, he walked between a crop production program field and a food plot, entering a brushy stand of sumac, and dropped a coat. I scuffed the trail repeatedly, touched brush with bare hands, and walked back on the tracks that he made. And next, wearing knee-high rubber boots that had been thoroughly scrubbed with a paste of baking soda and then air-dried outdoors, he walked a 75-yard long trail along a wooded valley bottom, taking care to not touch anything before dropping an old shirt by a tree. The conditions were dry and breezy, and Blitz could not detect either scent trail. This suggests you should get into your stand early. It also suggests that dry, windy days are good ones for speed scouting, or hanging a stand without leaving too much residual scent. Oh, okay. So, dry and breezy helps you out there. The hot track. For the next test, Blitz they were going to see if Blitz could try to nail a track where that was minutes old. To try and make things a little bit more difficult, untreated boots were worn and zigzagged along a field edge for about 100 yards, and they dropped a dummy at the end of the trail, and then looped wide to avoid a back trail. For a second trial, they repeated the entire procedure in a new spot with a few variations. First of all, this time they wore treated rubber boots. In addition, they walked along a snowmobile trail of very short grass. Blitz the dog nailed both of these trails with ease. What this says is that if you can't get into your stand early, be careful not to walk in the area from which you expect deer to approach, and don't assume rubber boots will help. Okay, so yeah, if you're running late, really consider where you're going to go so that you don't spook that buck off. And then the body search. How far downwind can a buck nail your airborne body odor? Well, to get an idea, they walked in front of the wooded upwind side of a small block of timber and hung a stand near the edge of a downwind field. It took the dog Blitz seconds to nail him at 275 yards away. They saw the dog jerk to a stop at a distance, and they wouldn't attempt with a shotgun or muzzleloader rifle. And the lesson there is many gun hunters think they can set their stand far enough away so scent won't matter. Well, if you stop it, you'll probably kill more deer. So that's, obviously an open air stand, not so much on a permanent kind of enclosed blind, and of course if it's higher up off the ground. But, still be aware of your scent. We talked about that in the last podcast. Here's a little aside here in this book. It says, the greatest deer hunters. Okay. Chief Massasoit, the giver of deer. So not long after the Mayflower landed in Plymouth Bay, Puritan leader William Bradford invited 90 Wampanoag Indians to a Thanksgiving feast in October of 1621. Realizing upon arrival just how skimpy the meal would be, Chief Massasoit dispatched his hunters, who quickly secured enough venison to feed 140 celebrants for 3 days. Native Americans were the original deer hunters, using tactics many of us consider modern. But Massasoit gets the nod for the symbolic significance of his gift of deer and the art of deer hunting to the colonists, and ultimately most of you. I did not know that story. Man, a lot of things I did not know that seem like I should know. Okay, skill number 18. Again, talking about odor. Manage body odor. Or not. Every deer hunter frets about BO, but our attempts to manage it are all over the map. So which approach, if any, gives you the best chance of knocking down your own scent? To answer that question, they enlisted another canine, Chance, and they played a version of Hotbox. In this training exercise, 6 plywood boxes, 4 by 4 by 5 feet, are spaced evenly in 2 rows across a large field. People are placed in the boxes for 2 to 3 minutes to heat them up with human scent. Then all but one leaves, and the dog has to find them. And they tried 3 simple tests to see if certain scent control measures could confuse or perhaps completely fool Chance, the dog. Full-blown BO. Wow. The hunter had not showered nor attempted any other scent control measure. He wore street clothes, laundered in regular soap, and his everyday tennis shoes. It took Chance 20 seconds before he was barking at the hunter's box. Shower and spray. Okay, this time the hunter took a no-scent shower and dressed in camel clothes, washed in an unscented detergent. He also wore high rubber boots to keep his walking trail clean and to hide foot odor. It took Chance 18 seconds to find him. Okay, so that was even faster. So full-blown BO in regular clothes and shower with the soapy smell and all that. You'll get nailed there. Compulsively clean. This is the final test, involved every scent control measure we could think of. In addition to the shower, the hunter wore 2 layers of activated carbon clothing. It literally soaked with scent-killing spray, and even chewed a wad of gum designed to eliminate breath odor. And then it took the dog 13 seconds to find him, without hesitation. Their tests may not reveal how a deer would react under the same circumstances, but it does show that all the scent-reducing measures in the world didn't make a bit of difference to a downwind dog, which suggests at the very least that if a deer is downwind and close, he can smell you no matter what. We are bombarded by claims that a product makes downwind deer oblivious, but our tests would indicate it probably does not. Okay, well, that is very interesting because, yeah, there are all sorts of scent control products out there on the market. I'm wondering, obviously, that it'd be very hard to create a control for that experiment and really get the conditions, perfect to where every single time it was slightly different, especially dealing with nature and they're contaminating, obviously, each experiment spot. I mean, it's unavoidable. So I'm not so sure that it's a conclusive experiment, but it is worth thinking about. All right, skill number 19, cover your scent. And then the author says, I'll start with a confession. I expect cover scents to fail miserably. To test them, I booked a canine, Ike, as the helper and used the hot box test again. And there, he said, I was prepared for a yawner, but what I got was a real eye-opener. All right, so it said, no cover. Our hunter dressed to hunt, but with no scent-eliminating clothing and did not use any type of cover scent. And the result was he was found in 6 seconds. So in that test, new test, he was, you're screwed, I guess, if you don't do anything. All right, let's see. Pine and earth scent. So they sprayed the hunter liberally with earth scent spray. And the dog did not speed directly to the hunter. Rather, he ran past each enclosure where the hunter was once, then double-checked one before finding the hunter. So it took about 25 seconds. Well, okay. Acorn scent. So they pinned acorn scent wafers to the hunter's coat and misted him with acorn-based spray. And they soaked a rag of a synthetic acorn scent from an aerosol can. Once again, the dog ran the entire course, scent checking each box. The elapsed time before they found the hunter, 45 seconds. Wow. And then skunk scent. Oof. The hunter used a small canister containing a cotton ball soaked with enough skunk scent to gag an outdoor rider. And it took 45 seconds to find that hunter. Okay, so basically what he says is the goal here is to delay the inevitable, to fool a buck's nose long enough to make a shot. Scent-reducing products failed utterly. Yet pine and earth scents were twice as effective as no cover scent. And acorn and skunk scents confused the dog for half a minute longer. Okay, all right. Well, so basically what they're saying here is scent cover, I guess the spray scent cover, which that's really all they really kind of used here. They didn't use ozone or any of that stuff. So, and I never have, so I don't know or can't speak to the effectiveness of that ozone stuff. Maybe some of you guys can. Please email me, howdy@feedbandit.com, and let me know if you use it, if you swear by it, if that stuff's a good product. And in one of the future ones, I'll read your testimony. But no, I mean, as far as the sprays go, yeah, it doesn't seem very effective at all. I mean, per these tests at least. But again, it's not it doesn't seem like a fully, perfectly scientific controlled experiment. But, anecdotal evidence like this leads one to conclude that just watch where the wind is, where you're sitting. Pay attention to that if you're sitting outside, of course. And, I guess the thing is maybe use a scent just to give you enough time, like they say, to get the shot off, So I guess a little bit is better than nothing, right? That's the moral of the story here. Okay, so we learned about how deer see not very well, but they do see reflective, like UV brighteners, as well as the color blue. So anything short of that, you should be good as far as vision goes. And then, of course, what we just talked about, the whole the effectiveness of scent. So that's interesting information to take into consideration. Well, all right. That was a quick one, but that's what we're trying to do here on this series. I hope you are appreciating these, going through these skills in this Whitetail Deer Hunting Foundation series. Thank you so much for listening. We're doing it this way again so that, maybe if you're bringing up a family member or someone or a friend or whoever, a new hunter, young hunter that's wanting to get into the sport, you can kind of push them towards this series and say, hey, listen to all of these before, we actually go out into the field. It'd be a good way, a good primer for anyone that you want to get into the sport to get a start. So thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode of the Feed Bandit podcast. And remember, always support your local feed store and Texas first. All right, take care.
Well, I hope the Bandits gave you an interesting episode that either entertained or educated you. Or better yet, both. Hell, I told them this podcasting thing looks harder to do than defeating Santa Ana. So if you would, please help them out by sharing it with all your like-minded friends to help the Bandits get the word out. And don't forget to check us out at feedbandit.com and grab some gear and apparel to support the cause of Texas. Remember, Texas, above all else, preserve the tradition, protect the legacy. Finally, as I said some time ago on the eve of the great battle, and I vigorously repeat here again, be men, be free men, that your children may bless their father's name. Well, fellow bandit, until next time.